Thank you, sir, and it's a great pleasure for me to stand before you, and we have two very distinguished, administrators, the two former secretaries of agriculture, Sri Nand Kumarji and Ashish Bhangraji. He's also chairing the session. I was told specifically to talk about the opportunities and what we are doing as far as public-private partnership is concerned in agriculture research and development, and how do we exploit the opportunities. It's not moving forward?
They will move it from there.
Sir, it will operate from there only.
Yeah.
Errors.
I'm trying to do that, but it's not working. Can you just go to the next slide? Yeah.
Maybe pointed towards that and see.
Okay, I think they did. Okay. So basically, if we look at the, I think it's working
Yes.
now.
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, if we look at the research priorities which have been aligned with the budget presented by the government in agriculture, with a major focus on climate resilient agriculture, then research on oilseeds and pulses. These are the two sectors where we are lagging behind, and substantial amount of forex is going on import. Then research on organic farming, and then of course research in the area of high impact research, including information communication technology, artificial intelligence, GIS, genome editing, etc. And then bringing diversification in agriculture, low carbon, water, energy footprint. So this is again a very important area where partnership with public-private sector is extremely important, particularly in terms of promoting the carbon farming or carbon credit and how we can work together in this area. Then, of course, reducing post-harvest losses, which is quite substantial. Almost 10% in cereals of 330 million tons is about 33 million tons is lost after we produce. If you go to fruits and vegetables, it's still higher, 20 to 40%. Of again equal amount, almost 120 million tons is lost after production, with so much of cost of production. So this becomes extremely important. And as far as partnership between public and private sectors are concerned, ICR has come out with clear-cut guidelines for different areas in terms of partnership. For example, licensing of released varieties which have been developed by public sector, they are taken by the private sector cooperatives, multiply the seeds and then make it available to the farmers. And this is something that has been working on very well. At IARI, we have partnered with more than 1,000 seed companies if we take all products together. Likewise, sharing of germplasm, pre-breeding material, advanced breeding lines, and parental lines of the hybrids. There was no such provision earlier, but now we have brought in a provision where pre-breeding lines are many lines which are drop out from the national trials for one or the other region. They can be shared with the industry and they can find specific areas, locations where they can be commercialized. Contract and collaborative research. This is another important area where we take a project on expression of interest from the industry for a specified objective, and if something comes out of the contract research, the entire IP of that goes to the industry which has funded research. Likewise, collaborative research opportunities are available. Then we have consortia research platform, which have membership of kinds like golden, silver, platinum membership in different categories. And once you join this consortia research platform, the output of research done by ICR institutions can be shared with the industry with well-defined terms and conditions. Also partnership in education, where we take the faculty from the industry on our role, recognize them as guide or co-guide for PhD programs, supervising PhD program, and also sending the interns from our universities to these private industries to learn what industry wants, because our major focus is to develop students who are industry ready. So this is another important decisions that has been taken, and partnership with FPOs and cooperatives. So this is going to come in a big way, like with the Krishak Bharati cooperative. We have now a number of big cooperatives are already doing great job, and then other cooperatives are also joining, and they will be key player in terms of popularizing the varieties which have been developed by public sector institutions to the farmers. The complementarity must be harnessed. That should be our goal. And then in this process, IRI, ICR has done MOU with Amazon, Bayer, Corteva, and several other partners to do and take up technology together with the industry. However, such move, when we talk of public-private partnership, often there is a opposition that comes from different sectors of the society, as if the government is going to privatize everything and this is not going to be the national interest and things of that kind. So I think these things, these issues need to be addressed appropriately. Now, if we look at the climate resilient agriculture, this is one of the most important focus of the government in the budget. And if we see the contribution of public versus private sector, of 330 million tons of food grain produced, the rice contribution is about 124 million tons, and wheat contribution is 110 million tons. So almost 230 million tons of 330 million tons comes from only two commodities, rice and wheat. And in these two commodities, and if you add oilseeds and pulses, another 25 plus 25, about 50 million tons. The research investment by private sector in rice, wheat, oilseed and pulses is bare minimum, because the major focus of private sector has been the commodities, particularly hybrid development for high intensive agricultural area. So there is a need to bring in investment in research and development of pure line varieties, where seeds can be used by farmers for planting next crop. And this was the one reason why industry has not made investment in the pure line varieties. Mostly they are limited to hybrids, because hybrids have got a self mechanism. You have to buy fresh seed every year. So this is essentially required, and private sector need to diversify research in self-pollinated crops, and particularly, bringing the technologies like genome editing in soybean and also in oilseed crops to address the specific problems. But what is the key issues? Why this investment is not coming into the pure line varieties, where seed can be saved by farmers and used for next year planting crop? Because the Protection of Plant Varieties and Farmers' Rights Authority Act, it empowers farmers to use the saved seed for planting next crop. Now, when farmer is empowered to use the saved seed for planting next crop, then the fresh purchase is not there, which is there by inbuilt mechanism in hybrids, because you cannot save the seed and use it for planting next crop. You have to buy essentially. And this is one region where private sector has not made a serious attempt in investing on R&D in pure line varieties, whether it is rice, wheat, soybean and other crops. Therefore, there is a need to also have address the problem of private sector, bringing investment in these areas, and some mechanism can be devised. For example, let farmers be allowed to save the seed and planting next crop, and we honor the provision of the PPVFRA. But at the same time, whatever produce is obtained from that, like it happens in many other countries, if you are in US and if you have purchased herbicide tolerant soybean, you did not buy the seed, used your seed for planting next crop. But when you go to sell the produce in the mandi market, then you have to show the proof whether you had the purchased seed or you have used your own seeds. And if you have used your own seeds, then there is some amount that you have to pay at the mandi or grain yard market point. So that kind of mechanism can be worked out so that we bring in more investment in the this particular area. Using off-patent traits, there are so many genetically modified crops where genes have lived their life. They have lived more than 20 years. Such off-patented molecules in case of pharma industry and in pesticides have been extensively utilized in Indian program by Indian industry. Same way, the off-patent genes can be also plowed back into Indian breeding program, and they can be commercialized. Organic farming is another area, very important area in the budget. And here also, of course, 1 crore farmers are to be brought into organic farming during this program. One specific point that I would like to mention here, that the farmers who are practicing inorganic agriculture, they are getting the advantage of fertilizer subsidy. So you get, if you are putting 4 bag urea in 1 acre of paddy and 1 bag of DAP in 1 acre of paddy, the subsidy cost of urea and phosphorus phosphatic fertilizers in paddy is about 5,000 rupees per acre. This subsidy is available to the farmers who are not practicing organic agriculture. Now the farmers who are practicing organic agriculture, one side they are not using fertilizers, and they are not getting the benefit of that subsidy which is going to the people who are using fertilizers. So they are helping environment, they are helping produce safe food, one side, but at the same time that benefit is not available to these farmers. So I think there is a need to look at this also and provide some incentive, because whatever little is being given, 2,000 rupees as of now is not sufficient. Second point I would like to mention here is that it has been proven beyond doubt for decades that biofertilizers, they contribute about 25 to 30% of nutrient, whether it is nitrogen, phosphorus or potash per hectare. But the extensive use of biofertilizers as an integral part of farming system has not become so popular, and the main reason is because we don't have a good value chain for biofertilizers in terms of their quality, assurance, production, supply chain maintenance. These have been, and mostly they are in the hands of small unscrupulous players who get advantage of subsidy from the state government, but they don't provide quality material. So I think it would be very important, and there are big players here from the fertilizer industry, that the big player in fertilizer industry should come forward to take up the responsibility of biofertilizer manufacturing in a big way. And this should be done by some kind of legislation that at least 25% of total nutrient production in terms of nitrogen, phosphorus, potash by any big fertilizer company should be coming from the biofertilizers. And if that happens, they have a good linkage, they have supply chain, they have dealer, distributors. Through that, biofertilizers can be made an integral part of inorganic farming as well as organic farming both. Then coming to oil seeds and pulses, this is again a very important area, and this is again the investment from private sector is not much here, and we are looking forward bringing the genome editing technology etc. to address the problem of these oil seeds and pulses crops. Investment in agriculture R&D is another major concern, because if we look at 1% of the agricultural GDP has been demand of scientists for investment in agriculture R&D. If you look at 23-24, the gross value added GDP, it was about 267 lakh crores. Of that, 1% is the contribution from agriculture was 47 lakh crores, about 17.59%, and 1% of this is 47,000 crores. So that much, even if we are investing 1% in agriculture R&D, 47,000 crores should come in R&D. But the investment has been hardly 9,000 to 10,000 crores. That's what their budget. So I think there is need to increase that, and also I think there is a responsibility from the private sector also to bring in more investment in agriculture R&D. The current investment, I looked at figures from different sources, about close to 1,000 crores, which is not enough actually, and there is a need to do a lot more on this side. Also, there has been demand from the private sector that the private sector should also be provided research grant from the government. So, as I said, that public sector itself is not getting enough, and that needs to be increased. But private sector can be incentivized. For example, the CSR money which is available to the private sector, that can be allowed to be used for research and development in the private sector. So that kind of provision will help private sector to do this in a better way. Now, as far as diversification in agriculture is concerned, there are 3-4 key areas where we need to really work. Direct seeded rice is one area which addresses many problems. One, the labor saving is there. Almost you spend about 4,500 rupees per acre for transplanting, that is saved. Water is almost 6 to 7 irrigation, 35% water saving happens, and then greenhouse gas emission about 30%, that is less. So promoting this, for that we have now come out with the technology of herbicide tolerant rice, and hopefully, because the weed was a major problem in this area, we shall address that. Maize for bioethanol. So this is another very important area. You see, now government has taken decision not to allow broken rice for production of bioethanol. The recovery of bioethanol from broken rice was about 430 liters per ton of rice. The current day maize hybrids, if we use for bioethanol, the recovery is about 370 liters. So there is a huge gap, and a specific breeding program to develop maize hybrids which are suited for bioethanol production, which can give the bioethanol yield at par with the rice, would be really a good direction in this area. Soybean in North India. Now we already have problems. See, the month of November will start. Towards end of October, you will have problem of paddy straw burning, parali, pollution, and so on and so forth. So there is a need for diversification in agriculture, and soybean can be a potential crop for diversification in agriculture, bringing new technology. Our soybean productivity at national level is limited to only 1200 kg per hectare, while the world average is about 2500 kg and the best is about 3500 kg. So this can be maximized if we increase the duration of soybean from 100 days current day to about 135 days, and for that North India would be most appropriate. And of course incentivizing through carbon credit is another area for all the regenerative agricultural practices that farmers use. They can be incentivized. There are a number of companies working under their programs. We have Grow Indigo, and also UPL has come out with the programs, and if farmers are incentivized for the carbon credit, this will be a win-win situation for all of us. Thank you very much.